As Joel mentioned, I'm a convert. By a show of hands, how many converts do we have here this morning? Oh yeah, great. Okay, so for all of you cradle Catholics, show of hands, how many of you realize that there are Protestant groups out there that actually don't think Catholics are Christian? Are you aware of that? Have you experienced that? Okay. On behalf of all of them, I apologize, because I know we can be kind of obnoxious, but that was my background. I was taught that Catholics really didn't have faith in Jesus because they put their faith in the church and the sacraments and Mary and purgatory and indulgences. And they really didn't trust Jesus for their salvation. Therefore, they were not Christian. That's how I was raised. So to give you some perspective, when Pope John Paul II died, when Saint Pope John Paul II died, back in April of 2005, I still remember watching his funeral. And I remember thinking, this is so sad because none of these Catholics understand that their leader has just been condemned as a heretic. And if they knew that, they would leave the Catholic Church and they would join a Bible-believing church like mine. And they would become a Bible-believing Christian like me. But later that year, I started to realize that it's kind of hard to identify who is a Bible-believing Christian. And really, what does a Bible-believing church teach? Because I started to really recognize the chaos and all of the conflict, all the theological differences between Protestant Christianity. And I was seeing how it was affecting our ability to evangelize. It was affecting our ability to disciple. And it was creating a lot of division. And I had gone to this non-denominational church for like 17 years. And I never really thought about the fact that 2 blocks down was an Episcopalian church. And a couple blocks from the Episcopalian church was a Nazarene church, which was right next door to a Grace Bible Church. This is in Mesa, Arizona, right on University, for those of you who may be from Arizona. And a few blocks from this Grace Bible Church was St. Luke's Lutheran and First Southern Baptist and Christ Redeemer. And I did a Google search of churches in my area. I went a mile north and south, a mile east and west. There were over 25 Christian churches in downtown Mesa. And I thought, this cannot be what the Lord had willed. This cannot be his plan when he started a church. And I remember praying one day saying, Lord, what a burden you've put on us. You toss us the Bible and then you tell us to figure it out. And I don't think we're doing a very good job figuring it out. So I was talking to a very good friend of mine one day about this. We went to the same church and he was kind of having the same discouraging feelings. And he said, I agree with you completely. And he hands me a catechism of the Roman Catholic Church. And he says, this is the direction I'm going. Because this is a church that for 2,000 years has not said, let's just agree to disagree and everyone can decide for themselves what they think is true. And he said, start reading this and tell me where you think I'm going wrong. I thought, you want me to read the Catechism of the Catholic Church and tell you where I think you're going? Let's just open it up now. Heresy is just going to fall right out of this book. But I did start reading the Catechism, and I could not believe how the church was unfolding the faith in a way that was far more beautiful than I had ever imagined, far more biblical, more reasonable, just blew me away. So I started studying church history. Do you know how freaked out a Bible Christian is when he finds out that God inspired the Roman Catholic Church to put together the New Testament? People ask me, where do you think it came from? I thought, I don't know. I thought maybe a canonized copy fell out of Jesus' pocket when he was ascending into heaven. Didn't think about it. But what really just blew me away was the beauty of the gospel from this Catholic perspective, because as a Protestant, and some of you converts may have had this same experience, Christianity was really the formal way that God kind of handed you your get out of hell card. You're a sinner, God's not happy with you, you're going to go to hell, but if you believe in Jesus, he'll forgive you and you can go to heaven. When I heard the church saying, no, God created you out of love, for love, but you've lost your ability to do that. You've been wounded, but God's not going to abandon you. He wants to heal you. He wants to transform you, and he wants to restore in you your ability to experience perfect love and be happy. And the church was just like this gentle mother saying, here's what's true, beautiful, and good. And this is what you want. This is what's going to make you happy. So I finally decided I've got to go to Mass. I got to check this thing called Mass out, because I don't think I can be Catholic without being good with the Mass. So my wife and I go to Mass, and we really believe the Lord just in his generosity just graced us to be able to enter into the beauty of the Mass. I had no idea what was going on. All I know is I cried most of the way through it. It was just unbelievable. So I go to this priest, and I introduce myself, and I tell him where I am in my journey, and I say, do you have any time to meet with me? I'll never forget this. He says, that's all I have time for. Now, you priests know that's not true. He says, that's all I have time for. So he met with my wife and me, and we started having weekly meetings in our home where he would come and really give us a private RCIA experience. And we had 7 other couples join us in our home. And I wish I had more time to tell you about my journey. But on Divine Mercy Sunday, 2008, all 4 of my kids were baptized. My wife and I were able to go to confession. Mine took a little longer. We were confirmed, and we received Holy Communion together in one weekend. And we have been on a spiritual honeymoon ever since. And all 7 of those families from our non-denominational church entered the church with us. What a blessing we have to be Catholic. Trust me, I've done the faith. I've done the Christian faith apart from the church, apart from the sacraments, apart from the Eucharist. I don't know how do you do it? I don't know how I got as far as I did. It's the grace of God, of course, but what a gift we have.